Hey everyone, welcome to a special edition, I guess we'll call it, of Marvel Time. This
Marvel
is
Time After Dark.
issue number 89. There's been some stuff going on in the world of Marvel this week. Geez, it has been just a crazy week.
How you holding up?
I'm good. I'm very tired. You can probably hear it in my voice right now that I'm just ready to pass out. But yeah, we have some comics to talk about. We have a movie, we have a TV show finale, we have a Disney Parks attraction, and we still got some news. So lots to get through. But before we really jump into it, can I ask, how was your Star Cruiser experience?
It was good. I got a lot of thoughts. I'm still digesting. I just got off it today. Had a great time. Loved being on it. I guess like my big picture, besides like some weird logistical stuff that goes on over there, is I wish I had played more, like, and planned more. Like our friend Mike, had a whole, you can see his whole web series on it. But like after years of conditioning to not get in the way of the storytelling, even when there's participation, it's always like participate as told.
Right.
And that's not the way to do Star Cruiser. I mean, don't be a jerk. Like you can kind of, and so you can tell when like they're ready to move on. But like, it really is meant to be like, you're not that guy there, that guy who like gets in the way. Like they want you to be part of the story, which goes against years of like theme park training in me. And like when you start asking characters questions that like, if you ask character questions about like logic and stuff, like it just comes across as being kind of a tool. Whereas here it's like that's part of what you're supposed to do. And like it took me like a day to realize that, and I wish I had known that from the beginning.
Yeah, that is definitely some interesting conditioning you have to break there. Man, I'm excited to hear more details about your experience later on.
Yeah, it's just that like I'm looking forward to doing it again so I can kind of like expand on it. But yeah, and there's some cool like personal moments. Like I mean, it's not like I'm being called out in a commercial for Doctor Strange on Multiverse of Madness like you are, but we did get some attention, which was kind of cool.
Cool. Well, as Kyle puts here, real comic nerds watch YouTube streams on Friday nights, and so let's get into our comics for this week.
Because they see movies on Thursdays.
Exactly. Except you saw it on Friday because you were a little bit busy in space. So
yeah, it's funny because like I got off the Star Cruiser and all the cast had saw it like last night, and they're like, oh, you're gonna go see it? And I was like, yeah. And they're like, oh, it was so great. And then I'm like, yeah, I couldn't go last night. I was here.
I was detained by your.
You weren't showing it in the climate simulator. You didn't have like a.
All right, let's jump into our comics. We're going to start off here with giant-sized Thunderbird, getting into some X-Men history with this issue here. I kind of like this one. I think because they kept it simple. They focused on one character. It was all about this character being brought back to life after years of not existing on this planet. And I think they did a good job of, telling this self-contained story here.
Yeah, I did too, and kind of harkens back, and yeah, the simple guy in a way. I mean, for a resurrected mutant, and kind of trying to get back to his story. And yeah, I thought it was a great primer for those that haven't read X-Men for the last 40 years. And so yeah, I mean, we talk a lot about how the X books can get a little unwieldy, but this is not that, and this was kind of cool.
Yeah, it was refreshing in a way to get that. I do like that they didn't, what the X books do so often is kind of bog you down with context, with exposition. They just throw a whole lot at you all at once, and this didn't do that. This was kind of like, hey, this guy's been brought back to life after a long, long time. We'll give you a couple panels of flashback later on in the story. Aside from that, it's just, go with what you're getting here. And and I liked it. So it was a good start to the comic reading. Our next issue will be Ben Reilly, Spider-Man #4. And maybe it's just because of everything else that's been going on and all of the other comics we've been talking about, but I have completely missed this series. I saw this was #4 and I was like, wait a minute, what did I do wrong here? And this is just, it's not bad. Don't get me wrong. I enjoyed the issue, but it is a poorly timed series given everything we just read in Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah, this is one of those this is one of those comic books that takes place in the mid, like in an older, it's like the untold stories of something from eons ago, and that we had so much with Ben Reilly before, like it kind of feels like I'm more concerned about his future than his past at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's not a kid. I mean, now for those that were fond of him from the Clone Saga and all that, but that just wasn't my jam back in the day. So maybe this speaks to them, but this isn't the Ben Reilly that I've dealt with lately. So therefore, it's not the Ben Reilly I'm particularly interested in right now.
Exactly. I just want to see Chasm. I just want to see more of that new character. It looks so cool, and I really got to like Ben Reilly over this last few months, I guess, this Spider-Man Beyond era was going. So, so this was a little bit of a letdown, but this particular issue wasn't bad. It just wasn't what I wanted, I think. Next, we have Marauders #2. We talk about X-Books quite a bit. I've said that Marauders has been my favorite team because there are so many different mutant teams going right now too. But this is quickly taking a turn to being, again, just wild and crazy space story. So what'd you think?
I have no idea what happened in this issue. I really don't. I read it again, and I'm like, I don't get it.
Yeah.
I'm not a Shi'ar expert. I'm not, but man, what the heck?
Yeah. Yeah, no, the Shi'ar have always been confusing in all of their, hierarchy and the different guards and whatnot. And Eric the Red plays a huge role here, but there's some more confusing stuff about him that, to my knowledge, didn't exist before. And yeah, there's a lot going on with the Shi'ar, and I do really still enjoy this Marauders lineup, but it kind of makes me miss the original lineup where we had Storm and Nightcrawler and not Nightcrawler. I don't remember who else was in there. Pyro was one of them, but it was a great team, and I still like the characters here. It's just I feel like maybe the team has grown too much. Maybe just cut it back a little bit. Moving on to our 4th issue, we've got Avengers Forever. This I guess this big sort of event story they've been telling, not really a crossover. It kind of does stick to the Avengers and more so the villains. This multiversal Masters of Evil that they've been following here. And this one particularly focuses on Doom. So what do you think of this one?
My pick of the week.
Yeah, we would agree on that.
Which may say more about the other books, but I like, villains have a way of becoming sort of like less villainy as time goes on, right? You get in their head. And then, no, this Doom, Ultimate Doom, not Ultimate Doom, but
Doom Above All, I believe is what they're calling
him. He's just evil. Like, he wants to subjugate Dooms. Like, there's this panel in here where they're like the Man-Thing, the Doom from the Man-Thing universe is there, and he thinks they're Doom bots. And no, they're just like other Dooms that he's like subjugated. Like, you don't get more evil than this guy. And I loved it for it because it's him just being evil, monologuing about him being evil, like not trying to be redeemable, just being Doom.
Yeah, first I like that you brought up that point of villains like eventually not feeling evil to you, because I have something more to say about that a little bit later in the show. But I really like this. I like this Doom Above All character. First of all, the whole multiversal, what are they? Multiversal Masters of Evil, I believe is the name. It's so awesome. The character designs, the mashup of different villains into one, it works so well. It looks really, really cool. And then this Doom Above All is just so menacing, and without even really, like, we've never seen him really fight the heroes, or at least our heroes, and yet he, you get this sense of like, this is a villain, you can't really mess with. So yeah, definitely like this one. But you're right, this was more a product of, and I don't know if it was just that there was so much else going on, but this felt like a weaker lineup of comics we got this week.
Yeah, I agree.
Our final issue we're going to discuss is Spider-Man 2099 Exodus Alpha. So this is sort of a zero issue, leading into the story. I enjoyed this. I love the character. I love the character design, is one of my favorites. I like the setting. It's just the lingo of this future lingo is kind of confusing at times. You don't really know what they're saying. So it kind of threw me off a little bit here and there. But overall, I did enjoy this. What did you think?
Yeah, I got into it as it got on later in, because I'm not a Spider-Man 2099 expert. There was that whole thing where like everyone had a 2099 issue. But so like knowing what the universe was took me a little bit, which isn't really the book's fault, but my just sort of a gap in my Marvel knowledge. So I wouldn't say this is the one thing I was really disappointed is it's as an alpha issue. You would think it's a jumping on point, but it really isn't.
Yeah.
It's a new story, but it's not really, it doesn't give you the exposition you really need to know, I think, to fully appreciate it. It's one of those ones where you gotta have Wikipedia handy. But I like how it ended. I like the tease for next week. I'm still not super sold on the whole 2099 thing, but as far as that goes, I thought it was a fine issue.
Yeah, you summed it up perfectly. I totally agree. Okay, so that does it for our comics. Where do we begin at this point now?
Well, go in order. Wednesday we had the TV show. So want to start there?
Well, see, that's what you say. Go in order. We had a different order for things, so
let's go in the public order.
Wednesday.
Not I'm a special guy order.
So Wednesday we had the finale of Moon Knight on Disney Plus. I'm curious to get your thoughts on this. We haven't talked about this at all. So,
well, there's nothing like getting up early on the Star Cruiser to go watch Moon Knight. I liked it. It was a tad predictable. But I thought it was a great finale. Like I think sometimes the finales of these shows try to do too much. And this is like just if this wasn't an MCU thing, like we'd be like, okay, that's the finale. But like I still have this like nagging. So like what's next? Like most of the other shows we know, like Loki, we knew season 2 was coming. WandaVision, we knew she'd be in Doctor Strange: The Multiverse of Madness. Falcon the Winter Soldier, we knew was going to sort of transform into a Captain America revitalization. I can't think of whatever else we've done, but this one, we don't know if there's a Moon Knight season 2, and it doesn't wrap up completely, really.
Right. No, it definitely doesn't.
Right. And so you just want to go like, so where do I get the answers here? Like, there's no like, am I going to be stuck for another like 30 years waiting for like Kevin Feige to like going to tell me, because this was like a storyline thread that never picked up anyplace? Like, I don't know. It just, to me, it was weird to not know where I'm going next with it.
Well, first off, I love the idea of Kevin Feige still telling Marvel stories 30 years from now. I'm fully on board for that. Kyle points out something fun here. He stayed up on the Star Cruiser to watch the Moon Knight premiere, and you got up early to watch the finale. So that pretty funny how that works out. Yeah, I was a little bit disappointed. Not disappointed is not the right word. I did enjoy the finale. I just think that it was probably the same feeling that you're describing. That I just kind of wanted to know what's next, how this character is going to become a bigger part of the universe. And I will say, I would have been totally disappointed had we not gotten that mid or post credit scene. And I guess we should warn right now. By the way, spoilers for everything we're going to talk about because we're
everything.
Yeah.
Except the ride. You can't spoil the ride yet. I got another
I don't know. I don't know that I can really even spoil the ride for you anyway. But yeah, I'll try my best not to get into details on that. But the mid-credit scene. Well, so the episode ends with Mark and Steven being let go by Khonshu, and waking back up in his bed, and, with the ankle restraint and everything, and so he's gonna live this life with the two of them will live this life together in one body, but without the curse of Khonshu. Luckily, the mid-credit scene reveals that he is still more or less controlled by Khonshu. It's not Mark and it's not Steven. It's that third personality we've been waiting to see, and it is in fact Jake Lockley, as we see him murder Harrow. So it was really, really cool to see that. I like the way they worked around it with Khonshu promising to release Mark and Steven, but didn't say anything about Jake. So he keeps his word. I like that we got Layla as, I guess, the MCU's version of the Scarlet Scarab. Very little known Marvel hero. But I like that they tied her in.
Well, and I think I don't know that I agree with it with being a tag, because they teased it too much in the actual series. So it's like, if it's going to be a plot device, we've been having that question since episode 2 about who that third personality is, and it's come up in a couple episodes. So to me, it's not like a tease of something we didn't know. Like, a tease needs to be either a continuation we didn't expect, or a nod to something that's going to happen. But to have it be one of the main mysteries of the show, it seems a little odd.
Yeah. It was a strange way to do that. It did feel like it should be, in the actual episode. And I was honestly, despite the fact that we haven't gotten this at all in a Disney Plus series, I was still expecting a post-credit scene, before it shrunk down the screen on me and told me to watch Eternals again.
Yeah, it really wants me to watch Eternals.
It does, and that is a weird choice. It's not like it connects. I mean, I guess there's the ancient history aspect of it, but so yeah, it didn't hit as much as I had hoped. I think this show really hit its high point with episode 4, hitting us with that crazy twist, and then it kind of just. It was still great. I still enjoyed all of it. Oscar Isaac was fantastic. It just, didn't land as well as I had hoped.
I felt like the twist needed to be more than just what it ended up being. Like, that would have been.
We could have had a whole episode of him, of him running and believing that he was in this asylum before they got into the whole, afterlife portion of it. And, so it would have benefited, I think, from a little bit of a longer runtime. But yeah, I don't know. I do obviously fully expect to see Moon Knight again. I'm just very curious as to when and where. Are we going to get another season? Or are we going to get a movie? Does he pop up in someone else's movie? So looking forward to it. Just lots and lots of questions about the character for the MCU.
Yep. Luckily, though, our attention is kind of diverted about what impacts to MCU with another project, which has much more questions about what's happening to the MCU.
Yeah. Let's talk about Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Wow. So I am like you were talking about that conditioning on the Star Cruiser. I have bit my tongue so hard for 3 days to not say a word about this movie that now that I am, in front of a camera talking about it, I have a hard time actually giving anything away. But first, I want to
Can I talk about something not Marvel for a second?
Yeah, go ahead.
Just to cross universes here. If you're a Star Trek fan, this Thursday also was the season finale of Star Trek Picard and the series premiere of Star Trek Strange New Worlds, where an actor named Anson Mount plays Christopher Pike. So those two Star Trek captains had episodes this week on Paramount Plus.
Wow. What are the odds of that? That is okay, so what are your thoughts overall on this movie?
So to be fair, I always say I have to watch Marvel movies twice because I have to watch it the first time I watch it, all I think about is like what it means to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And then the next time I watch it and I go like, oh, that was a good movie. First of all, I want to say it's kind of nice to have Sam Raimi in the MCU. Like his New York felt like Spider-Man's New York, and his horror felt like Sam Raimi horror. And it just was like the 90s came back and gave me a hug, or early 2000s in the case of Spider-Man. It was like, it felt very Sam Raimi. And the score felt very Danny Elfman with a little bit of Lopez and a little bit of X-Men 92 in it. But
can we just, we're going to jump around anyway. Can we just talk about that? Because that music hit, and that was, I'm not one to verbally react in a theater or to like break out into applause or anything like that. But I involuntarily went, oh, and the people next to me were just like, what is this guy? Like, we knew Xavier was going to be in this. And
yeah, I know, it's so weird. We knew he was going to be in it, but there's something about hearing that and that yellow chair coming in. And I mean, I didn't get to see I saw it Friday morning, like a 12 o'clock show. So like as it happens, I'm just like, oh man, I wanted to see a 7 o'clock Thursday night show. But yeah, that it's no one thing to bring in the characters and have the cameos. It's another thing to do it well. And they did it well.
Yeah, absolutely. And man, again, just that Xavier coming out again surprised almost nobody. It still got a little bit of a reaction from my crowd seeing it last night, but him coming out and hearing man, that was.
I have a question. So you went to like a screening on Monday, and then you saw it again last night with the Proletariat, right? And did you have this thing where it's like, those fan service moments are coming because you went to a screening and you're just like, you don't care at the second time, like you want to just hear what the reaction is because it's coming? Does that happen?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And the screening, the audience did react a little bit, but it was very subdued. It wasn't as crazy as it would have been on opening night. I was a little bit disappointed by the audience in my theater that didn't react as big. It felt like, Charlie Cox told the story that his theater for No Way Home, nobody reacted when he showed up in the movie. It felt kind of like that. There were a few big moments where that got some applause. One in particular, another character we'll talk about shortly. But I was absolutely more so there for the reactions of the audience to live that opening night moment. But yeah, you're right though too that I definitely wanted to see this movie a second time because the first time I am hunting for details, looking for any Easter eggs and thinking about how this affects the bigger picture. This time I really just sat and enjoyed the movie, and I liked it more on my second viewing, actually. I think this is going to be a very divisive movie because it is so different. It is very Sam Raimi-ish. They really let him take the reins on this. It is a horror movie. I mean, it really is. And it's so different from anything the MCU has ever given us before. So
it's horror in like, there's there's moments that's like have frightening imagery, or there's moments
Yes.
that it's not like gonna keep me up at night horror.
No.
Right. So like it's it's not like an exorcism movie where you're worried about a demon possessing you, right? And so like it's horror, but it's not gonna scare you like long term. It's just gonna be the fun kind.
Yeah, that's actually completely accurate. The fun kind of horror, I think, is the right sort of tag for this movie. Wanda, I want to talk about Wanda because, man, did they nail this character from the comics. She has completely lost it and really showcases her power. I don't remember if it was on here or if it was in an episode of Zacks of Life that I said a while back, I think that's a different universe and Wanda is going to brutally murder everybody. And that is what happened. They did not hold back at all. So let's actually just
go back
get this out of the way here. As
we didn't know in the marketing what Wanda's role was going to be, right?
No, we did not.
Right.
Absolutely.
And so like and I mean, it's hard because doing this every day, we learn things that we probably shouldn't know, but like talk about masterful marketing, like where you see Doctor Strange meet up with Wanda. Basically seems like it's going to be a Wanda Doctor Strange team up movie. Then you have the dark Doctor Strange, who you think is going to be the villain in the trailer. And then even What If kind of sets that up.
Right.
And nope, it's just Wanda going full House of M on you.
Yeah.
And that's just brilliant.
Yeah. It really was. And even, a little peek behind the curtain here, we saw I got to see a 20-minute screening prior to the press junket for the movie and then seeing the full movie. The 20-minute screening ended with Doctor Strange saying to Wanda, "It'll get you back on the lunchbox." And so that screening ended with me still not knowing who the villain of this movie was, what the actual plot really was. So brilliantly executed by the Marvel team there. And yeah, Wanda going full villain here was just, man, that really hit for comic fans, and I think just for MCU fans in general, because also Elizabeth Olsen absolutely delivered once again.
The one thing I wish, though, is I do wish this movie came out before Spider-Man. I mean, they had to kind of tweak it to make it make sense. But I think when people hear the term Multiverse of Madness after Spider-Man, they think it's going to be like a cameo-filled ride, especially with what we know of it. And while there's certainly cameos, it's not like they go into like 800 different multiverses and, kind of like what if it, like
right.
Season finale. It's more of like Wanda raiding the multiverse. And I think after seeing what the multiverse could do in Spider-Man No Way Home, that's a little disappointing. Like, I think people's expectations were, this is how we're going to bring in the X-Men, and this is how we're going to bring in, and that's not really what they did here. I mean, they may show up, but it's not, they don't last very long. And so, I worry that people might have their headcanon might have overhyped it.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, I definitely, I talked to a lot of people that thought, oh, this is where the X-Men come in. This is where, so many other characters are going to come into our universe. And no, like I said, I kind of felt like this is going to be used as a device to show off how powerful Wanda can be, because you need disposable characters for her to brutally murder. And again, that's what happens in this movie, which let's get into some of what other characters and stuff we saw in this movie. And Kyle points out that did I get a good read on my audience? Yeah, that was the biggest ovation.
That's a bit of a stretch, Kyle.
And, okay. And that's it for Marvel time. Good night, everybody. No, so yeah, I think that was probably the biggest surprise to a general audience. I unfortunately came across a little bit of a leak on that one, but
what was the surprise was Black Bolt. because
yes, yeah, absolutely.
like who would have thought, like, from this failed ABC show that would show up?
Yeah, I certainly did not think it would be the same actor. Anson Mount is his name.
Yes, from Star Trek Strange New Worlds.
Right. Yes. Yeah, definitely did not expect it to be him. So yeah, that was Black Bolt was probably the biggest surprise. But yeah, so we had Reed Richards, played by John Krasinski, who, I'll be honest, he had been fan casted as Reed for a long time. I have never been a big John Krasinski fan. I wasn't really into the idea of him playing Reed, but I think he did a good job in the limited time that he had. He was very believable as the character, and they got the look down, so I liked it. Now I'm curious to get your thoughts on. We'll talk a little bit more in the news later on, but he is now rumored to possibly be the director for the Fantastic Four movie.
Oh, and star? You think?
I would think he would star as well. It might be more of a distraction than anything else if he were to just direct and not be in the movie.
Right. And he did a good job, I think. You know, I mean, because Reed's a tough character because he's you got to have him be a lovable dad, you got to have him be a superhero, and you got to have him be an arrogant prick. And those are hard things to do all at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I don't know where the Fantastic Four movie is going to go. Like, I don't know what the point of it, you know, like what version it's going to be, where in the time, you know, we've had 2 takes on it, or 1.5 takes on it already. One that people acknowledge. And so, you know, but yeah, I think he has shown that he could do it. I mean, in this sort of, if it's a proof of concept, you know, he can play the character. And I kind of like that he didn't like stretch a lot, because it kind of saves it for like an actual Fantastic Four movie.
Yeah,
because there's really no reason for him to do it in this. You know, there wasn't a sort of storyline purpose, because he kind of gets shredded pretty quickly. But yeah, I guess.
So let's talk about. We already mentioned Black Bolt. We had Reed Richards. We had Captain Carter, which in the very late marketing before the movie came out was, you know, essentially just they told us, hey, Captain Carter's in this movie. Here, look, here's her shield. She's one of the members of the Illuminati. But it was still really cool, I think, you know, hearing the music cue and seeing Haley Atwell in the suit. You know, that was still a lot of fun. I really liked her being in this movie.
The one that I thought was whose role was a lot smaller than I thought it would be, was Baron Mordo.
Yeah.
It's, I guess, you know, just because the first movie kind of set up him as being, and I don't know where that payoff is going to come from. Right.
They kind of insinuate that the payoff came in between the movies, right? Like Strange mentions, you know, he used to be my friend and now he's dedicated his life to killing me. We haven't seen any of that in any of the MCU. We saw a post-credit scene in Doctor Strange where he said death to all sorcerers, and now we see a different version of him in the multiverse, and that's it, nothing in between. So kind of interesting the way that they handled that. I didn't think it was going to be only a different universe's Mordo that we saw. I thought maybe he would be hunting them through the multiverse or something, but yeah, so that was interesting. Captain Marvel, not what I expected. Lashana Lynch, who was Maria Rambeau, and right? Did I get the right Rambeau? Maria is the mother. Monica is the daughter. Yes. So we had her,
which is good, because it would have been weird. It would have been really hard if Wanda killed Monica.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Like, that would have added, I mean, not that she wouldn't have done it at this point, she's gone completely off the rails, but that would have added a whole lot of like need to explain. Like, she, like, if she just did it like she did to her mother, it would have been kind of odd, you know, about having a whole dialogue scene that would have been kind of unnecessary but needed, and which is, I know, an oxymoron, but true.
No, I totally get that you would have had to stretch that out and made it more of an emotional moment. And that's a good time to mention, actually, too, that I heard Sam Raimi has said that there is approximately 40 minutes of unused footage for this movie that got cut. And I kind of saw that in this movie. It felt as though there were moments that could have been stretched out more. You could have seen more of an emotional reaction from several of the characters. But I think it worked to not have Wanda really show much emotion aside from what was directed at her children. So I think that.
Yeah, it definitely feels like there was a prolonged, like, the corruption of Wanda wasn't shown explicitly. I don't think it needed to be, but it felt like it was missing. And that, like, I could imagine there's a version of this where her setup is longer than what it was.
Yeah, I could definitely see that maybe we get some filler from between WandaVision and this movie.
I will say I was pleasantly surprised. Speaking of characters, America Chavez.
Yeah.
I have a problem with her just in that, like, she's a little too powerful, and when you have two powerful people, like, being able to just pounce through the multiverse is a little bit of a storytelling problem. And I'm not a fan of the character in the comics. Like, she comes across as a little bratty in the comics sometimes. I haven't read every part of her run, but but here I thought she was very endearing. In fact, and despite the fact she's powerful and scared and just trying to survive, she was still kind and receptive, and without being too saintly where it becomes saccharine. So I was pleasantly surprised about how much I enjoyed that character.
Yeah, we definitely got to give a lot of credit to Xochitl Gomez, who was fantastic as the character, and I totally agree. I don't want to spend too much more time on this because we do have other things to talk about, but a couple other quick points. One that Kyle brings up, actually, there's several surprises that we expected and did not get, and those included Deadpool and Tom Cruise as Superior Iron Man. So I'm curious if those were, in the plans and then scrapped, or if they were never actually there. Ryan Reynolds did a good job of denying and yet making it seem as though he was going to be in the movie in a very Andrew Garfield way. No Ryan Reynolds just yet. So we'll have to wait for Deadpool's entrance in the MCU.
Although any universe that has Deadpool and the Illuminati would instantly not be worth saving.
Very true. Very true. Yeah. I was honestly looking to see if he was just maybe walking around with a slice of pizza in the background in New York somewhere, but
and I kept wanting to go through each of those, like, multiverses that they went through quickly, and kind of try and, like, it felt like there would be Easter eggs in there, but I'm watching a movie and can't, like, Wikipedia.
Right. Well, I can tell you on second viewing, it looks as though the Noir universe is one of them. It looks like Nueva York, actually, from Spider-Man 2099 looks to be one of them. And then we talked about it before from the trailer, but the Savage Land, I don't know that is what that's going for, but I mean, there are dinosaurs alive there, and that's where my mind goes in the Marvel Universe. And
we'll have a movie club on this film in a couple weeks. So
we'll go way more in depth on this, and we'll have an episode of Zacks of Life coming out in a couple weeks as well that we'll break this movie down. So we can't just skip past the post-credit scene, though, or the mid-credit scene, I suppose, because the post-credit, that one we can skip. But real quick, and there is a post on Laughing Place right now explaining what happened in this mid-credit scene, but it amazes me that Marvel can still manage to keep secrets like this, like secrets as big as this. Charlize Theron playing Clea in the MCU. Fantastic.
I would like to thank the death of Doctor Strange for reacquainting me with Clay, because if I wasn't reading the comic books, actually, that's one thing I want to say is, what was it, maybe like 3 years ago, incursions were a big part of Avengers. And they're taking something that is fairly recent in the comics and brought to movies. They're not just pulling from like 20 years ago. They were like really just keeping up to date with some great comic storytelling. And I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, well, this is mentioned in my post about the post-credit scene. The term incursions is used quite a bit in in the Secret Wars storyline from 2015, and people have been wanting Secret Wars in the MCU for a long time, but probably more so the original one, not the 2015 version. But it does look as though this could be building blocks here for this 2015 Secret Wars, which would be
I gotta say that the original version of the Secret Wars, I think it was the first crossover, and that's why people like it. But in the end, the only thing that happened was Spider-Man got a new suit.
Yeah.
I mean, that ended up being a big deal, but it wasn't a big deal at the time.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right about that. It wasn't.
It wasn't great comic book storytelling. It was a toy line.
And if you're interested in reading that post, you can find it in the YouTube comments right now. Okay, any last thoughts on Doctor Strange? And we'll be talking about it in a movie club soon, and then again on Zacks of Life as well. But before we move on, do you have any other?
I guess the only thing I have to say is it feels like it's time to announce more Marvel movies.
Yes.
To see where these things are going. Because, like, you know, for the first couple of phases, everything kind of led into an Avengers movie.
Right.
Or at least, obviously the first phase led into Avengers, and then we kind of knew it was all leading up to the, Infinity Saga, once we got into phase 3. But I don't know what this is all. It's building to something, and there's a lot going on right now. And in many ways, the Marvel Universe is getting a little unwieldy, especially if you can figure out what's going on in Eternals, what's going on here, what's going on in some other stuff, with Kang and Loki and all that. And it's like, where are we just gonna how many plates am I supposed to be spinning at one time? So it would be nice to kind of get a little bit of clarity as to what this is all building towards.
Yeah, definitely. I think actually somebody in my theater summed it up perfectly when before the post-credit scene, it comes up on the screen, Doctor Strange will return. And I just hear a voice from the back row go, in what though? We don't know. It's funny to have that. We used to see, it used to actually tell us Captain America will return in the Avengers and,
Right.
Stuff like that. But we just don't have that anymore. We have a slate of so many other characters, and we don't know when we're going to see the ones that we're seeing now again. I will throw this comment up there. Thank you, Doobie. Yes. Okay, let's move on before we spend the rest of the night talking about this fantastic movie.
Well,
there was something going on at Walt Disney World. That is not me. But we do have on-ride video of myself and Jeremiah as we got to check out Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind at Epcot yesterday, which was a media preview. It is opening on May 27th. Man, I wrote this 8 times yesterday. Jeremiah wrote it 12.
And there's 8 songs.
There are 6 songs.
Oh, so you got which 2 songs did you get twice?
Oh no. Out of 8 rides, I got the song Conga 5 times. The other 3 were all Everybody Wants to Rule the World. So I have 4 other songs that I still have to hear. Can't wait to go back.
That.
What was that?
That conga
Oh no, Gloria Estefan.
Oh, I remember. Do the conga, no, to get a grip stuff. And you don't
yes, yes, it's fantastic. We talked about this before going on it. We looked at the list of songs and we agreed that Conga was probably the one that we least wanted. And by the second or third time, I was like, okay, this fits with this ride. It's a lot of fun. Yes, thank you, Doobie. But this attraction, man. Okay, so I'll start from the beginning here. I expected a whole lot of Marvel Easter eggs, and maybe there are some tucked away that I haven't found just yet, but there weren't a whole lot. Again, I don't want to get too spoilery on this because not many people have experienced this yet, but there was one fairly big one that I guess you'll only catch if you're in the queue at the right time for the audio loop as you hear it. But Not a whole lot else in terms of Marvel Easter eggs. There are some really fun Epcot history Easter eggs, which you can see full queue video and all of the pre-show videos and everything on our YouTube channel right now. And you can, some of the Epcot Easter eggs really kind of hit you over the head. They're very obvious ones. I mean, it's Star-Lord straight up calling out past Epcot attractions. So, but yeah, it's the queue is beautiful. It is very well laid out. It's a very fun visual experience. The pre-show, wow, probably my favorite. Period. Just anywhere in any attraction, it is so good. Obviously, there's a little bit of a Marvel bias there, but it's very different. It is very fun. It's hilarious. The Guardians are a very, very funny group of characters, and
so Drax. Is it a pre-show where it's like everyone's in a room together, or is it just like a queue video? Okay.
Yeah, no, there are two actual pre-show rooms where everybody's in together, and then you move on to board the actual attraction. And man, I let's just say Drax is very marketable in the pre-show. The ride itself, this thing moves unlike anything you've ever experienced. It is so incredibly smooth. And I mean, I can say this, right? The reverse launch is something we knew was going to exist in this attraction. Once you hit that, there's this just, oh, wow moment. And I physically, again, I'm not somebody who reacts verbally even on roller coasters. But I couldn't help myself. I just went, whoa. Like that was something I've never felt before. It was just a crazy experience. And then it just keeps on going. The fun never lets up. The music keeps the energy up. There are hilarious audio cues from the characters throughout the attraction. And it's just, some great visuals as well. So it's just such a unique and really, really cool experience.
Is there anything after the credits?
Well, there is a whole lot of Xandarian around the queue. And so there is a fun little Epcot Easter egg, or I guess just Disney Parks Easter egg on your way out. And then I'm going to work a little bit over the next few days on translating Xandarian so we can crack that code there.
I expect you to be like Mike with Arabesh and just be able to translate it.
See, the thing is that Arabesh at least is kind of universal in Star Wars, and Xandarian is not. I'm going to read it in just this building, and then it doesn't really serve much of a purpose for me anymore. But yeah.
Continue talking about the ride. I'll be right back.
Okay. All right. Well, I mean, the ride experience is just crazy. But you mentioned too, like is there something after the credits aside from that Disney Parks Easter egg? There's also the merchandise, and that is just unreal. The store, Treasures of Xandar, which we'll take a look at a little bit more in depth in a little bit here. But this whole Xandar, the Wonders of Xandar Pavilion is beautiful. The Star Blaster, Novacore Star Blaster out in front of the building is breathtaking. I mean, you see this thing from what feels like a mile away, and it's just such an awesome tease before you even get into the building and start experiencing this Guardians of the Galaxy universe that you are stepping into. Universe not being a reference to the past there on purpose, at least. Well, now I'm just kind of vamping until Benji comes back here. But this was such an unbelievable experience to get to check out this attraction. I cannot wait for other people to ride it so that I can not worry about spoiling anything. May 27th, again, is when this will open. Doobie asked, did we bring home any merchandise? No, none of it was for sale, unfortunately, just yet, but there are definitely some things that I will absolutely be taking home as soon as it is available for purchase. Again, we'll take a look at the merchandise in a little bit as we go through our news segment here.
I do have a question for you. So can you take off your Marvel hat for a second and put on your Disney Parks hat?
I just went from wizard to sorcerer. Oh, my Disney Parks. Hang on.
Okay.
There we go.
Does it fit in Epcot?
Yeah. So I'm going to take this off actually because it feels real weird. I'm not the Epcot historian and classic Epcot purist that a lot of people are. So I've never had a real problem. Remy's being added into France doesn't bother me, anything like that. But I do think it fits. I mean, it feels. I guess it is definitely more looking towards the future of things as opposed to current technology and stuff like that. But and you're looking at the technology and everything of a different world. That's really what it is, and they tie it together very well with the story that they tell throughout the queue, and the look of it is all very Epcot, especially when you first walk into the queue, and it just feels like this is a space themed attraction. You got Mission Space right across the way. Space 220 is right there. It feels like that fits very well in that area. And then the farther in you go, it becomes more of a Marvel experience. So yeah, I do think it fits in Epcot. But again, I can totally see other people who have more of an attachment to that classic Epcot disagreeing with me on that.
Well, I'm about to head on it in what time is it? 7, 8, 9, 10 in 25 hours.
Okay.
So that's my preview. So we'll talk more about this attraction once I get to ride it.
Yeah.
But I know you have a whole show outline that I'm completely trashing. But did you happen to see what they did at California Adventure today?
I did, yes. Well, assuming we're talking about the same thing here.
I'm talking about Disney. No.
Yes. So Avengers Campus, we had a couple new characters show up. And our own Mike C was out there meeting these new characters. And this Wanda is unbelievable. I mean, I don't think I've seen a better casting job in Avengers Campus to this point. She is so spot on. The costume is perfect.
Minor correction. I'm going to say that's not Wanda. That is full-on Scarlet Witch.
That's fair. That's a very good point. Yeah, this is the Scarlet Witch here that you can now meet in Avengers Campus. Mike has basically an interview video up with her, which was a lot of fun. She was great in her reactions, but she's not the only character that debuted in Avengers Campus, because we also got America Chavez, who, and I'll be honest here, when I saw these pictures this morning, I thought Scarlet Witch looks incredible. America Chavez, not so much. But the way that they introduce her, bringing her in with the Doctor Strange show, replacing Thor in that role. And then her
next 2 months.
Right, sure, yes. And then, but her interactions with Doctor Strange and, just with the crowd in general, so perfect. I mean, nailed it. The character is taken right out of the movie in that way. So yeah, really, really cool to see this debut in Avengers Campus today.
And then they brought Doctor Strange into a ride where you can get a new web slingers. What do you call it? Like attachment.
Yeah. Now I'm blanking on the name of the thing too. I think it's
like a gauntlet. The gauntlet's a thing,
yeah,
but
it's just a gauntlet.
But you can blast spider bots with like portals, and then they have the actual spider bot toy that has like a Doctor Strange version too.
Yeah, that is really cool. And Mike got to test that out too. We have video of that as well. I kind of feel like the gauntlet could have come out with Spider-Man No Way Home, right? Like that's what he uses more or less in that movie. So
true, but that's a Sony movie.
Yeah, that's fair. Real quick, I'll show you guys some of the merchandise from Treasures of Xandar here. So here's the store itself, and then we have an interview video that you can check out.
One of those mannequins does not look right. The third one.
The mannequins are wearing this Guardians of the Galaxy tour t-shirts, like they're a rock band, and on the back has all these different Marvel locations that they would have toured, which is really, really cool. So, I mean, they knocked it out of the park with this merchandise. You can see this, they told us the story of how, Peter Quill visited in the 80s, and so he's attached to this retro Epcot, and so they have a whole retro line of merchandise with these bright colors, which was really awesome. There's so much that I am going to want. I mean, a shirt that just says spaceships.
There's cool. So wait, it's got Spaceship Earth,
the Star Blaster, and then either the Milano or the Benatar. I can't tell which one.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, so really, really awesome merchandise. I was looking to see if we have the image of the neon sign on here, but there's a Guardians of the Galaxy neon sign logo that has different modes. You can change the colors of the lights. It looks so cool, and you will definitely see it on my backdrop in the future as soon as I can pick one up.
That's cool.
So I know we're kind of running long here. We are kind of whittling down our news a little bit here. Let's see.
I like how Doobie became the nomenclature guy with Doctor Strange Mystic Amplifier, considering he's never been correct on nomenclature in the history of his Disney fandom.
There you go. Doctor Strange Mystic Amplifier. Well, I mean, I'm sure that this was a quick Google search. But
hopefully you just search Laughing Place, but I don't know how accurate that may be.
So yeah, that's a lot of the craziness, not even all of it from the past week, but yeah, it's been busy. It's been incredibly fun. Yeah, I am looking forward to sleeping for about 24 hours and then getting back into all of the craziness all over again.
And don't forget, everybody, tomorrow is free comic book day. So go to your local comic book shop and pick up some free comics, including a couple from Marvel, including, I believe they have a Spider-Man issue, as well as like a Avengers one that will lead into Judgment Day.
Speaking of the comics, anything you've been reading? Have you had any time to read anything?
No. No. I barely read the 5 we had today.
But yeah, that's fair.
I mean, I did read the Halcyon, like the first couple issues of the Halcyon series.
There you go. Are those on Marvel Unlimited now?
2 of them are.
2 of them are. Okay, cool. Yeah, I do want to check those out. So there you go. There's a good recommendation. Real quick, Doobie, yes, I love it. I mean,
I hear your boss is a real difficult pain in the rear, but whatever.
Which one are we talking about? I haven't been reading anything on Marvel Unlimited because I've been busy reading this Doctor Doom in Reign of the Devourer, a Marvel Untold novel from Aconite Books. It was really good. You can check out my full review of the book on Laughing Place right now. It is a horror story, which fits in with Doctor Strange right now, and Doom. I mean, we were talking about it before, how villains after a while become not villains anymore. And this is focused on him. It's about his country and him fighting for his people. And you really find yourself rooting for Doctor Doom, which is a cool feeling as you're reading this story. All right.
So enjoy your break. So at least we're about to get into Judgment Day, right? In the comics.
Yes.
But besides like some what do you call it? What's the Marvel behind the scenes series called?
Assemble.
And Marvel Assemble, like we're good until June 9th, right? For
presumably, yeah.
So we'll let Mike do the heavy lifting with all the Star Wars stuff coming up. But
yeah. Which I can't wait for. I'm so excited.
Yeah. So and then we have lots to talk about. We'll have a movie club on Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness when we get a chance. Zacks of Life will be doing a full analysis of everything. And then also, as more of our team gets to experience Cosmic Rewind, I'm sure we'll all have thoughts.
Yeah.
Coming up. And then, then we got Comic-Con. So, we're just going to keep going. Got Thor, Love and Thunder. We got Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. I know the Marvels and Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania switched spots, but
yes, Yeah, that's crazy, and that Black Panther is going to come up before we even know it. There are some of the comics I was looking at and the dates that they have planned for their release. We're talking about August comics already. It's bizarre to me that we are already at that point of the year, but there's still so much more coming up throughout the rest of this year. So it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be wild, and it's gonna be fun.
At least I don't think you have any more theme park rides opening. So at least you're good with that for a while.
That's true. Yeah, nothing I'm aware of anytime soon, at least.
Well,
all right.
Thanks, for bearing with us as we went through like every way Marvel gives you content this week.
All right. I think we'll wrap things up right there. Bye, everyone. We'll see you next week.